بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام والسنة. All praise and thanks belong to Allah for guiding us to Islam and for guiding us to the Sunnah. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over the tremendous book by the Fadilat Shaykh Al-Allama Imam bin Baz rahimahullahu ta'ala. The book which is entitled Durus Muhamma Li'amati al-Ummah, important lessons for the general masses of the Ummah, or for every Muslim. We are still in the section dealing with the 5 pillars of Islam, reflecting over the 5 pillars of Islam, and we have reached the 4th pillar, and that is the pillar of As-Siyam, the pillar of fasting. قال فضيلة الشيخ عبد الرزاق بن شيخ عبد المحسن البدر حفظهم الله تعالى. He mentions, he says, As-Siyam, fasting, Ramadan, Shahrun Mubarak, Azim, fasting the tremendous month, the tremendously blessed month of Ramadan. افترضه الله سبحانه وتعالى على عباده, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has made the fasting in the month of Ramadan obligatory upon His slaves. افترض الله سبحانه وتعالى على عباده صيامه, that He has made it obligatory upon His slaves that they fast the month of Ramadan. Naam. Fasting in the month of Ramadan is wajib. It is obligatory upon every Muslim who is a resident, who has the physical ability, they're not sick, nor are they on the menses or the postpartum bleeding. Naam. And those who have reached the age of what? Of puberty, who have reached the age where it is binding upon them to fast. For these are the ones who they have to fast. Naam. And the dalil of this is the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that can be found in Surah Al-Baqarah, in His verse 183. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. That, O you who believe, fasting has been written upon you as it was written upon those who came before you, so that you attain piety. Naam, so that you attain piety. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has informed us here in this ayat that He has made fasting obligatory, or that He has written fasting upon those who came before us, and He has written fasting upon us, upon the Muslims. Naam. In that within itself shows us the important nature of fasting, and how fasting is something that is of tremendous importance, that it is that which was written upon every nation. It was written upon every nation for them to fast. Naam. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the next verse, in 184, Allah Azza wa Jal Allah Ta'ala says in the verse after the next verse, which is verse 185, Allah Ta'ala, He says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The month of Ramadan in which the Qur'an has been revealed therein. Allah Ta'ala, He goes on to say, after that, فَمَنْ, later on in the verse, Juyaanee, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ. So whoever from amongst you sees the month, they witness the month, then it is binding upon them to fast it. Then they have to fast it. Naam. So from these two ayat, verse 183, and then in verse 185, and in particular, verse 185, where Allah Ta'ala, He says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. And whoever from amongst you sees the month, then it is a binding upon him to fast it. This is what made the fasting wajib. This is what made the fasting wajib, binding upon the Muslims. Naam. فَالصِّيَامِ, so fasting, تَحْقِيقٌ لِتَقُوا اللَّهِ. Fasting is the establishment of the piety or the reverence, yani the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we get that from the aforementioned verse, and that is verse 183, where Allah Ta'ala, He tells us that the fasting was written upon us as it was written upon those who came before us. And from the benefits of the fasting, and from the fruits of the fasting, and from the outstanding characteristics of the fasting, is that it is a means for the attainment of taqwa. As Allah Ta'ala says in the end of the ayah, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you would attain piety, so that you will attain taqwa. Na'am. فَالصِّيَامِ تَحْقِيقٌ لِتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. So siyam is the actualization, is an expression of the actualization of the fear or the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Na'am. So fasting is of extreme importance, because by way of it, an individual, he'll be able to attain, or she'll be able to attain taqwa, the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also the fasting, وَتَخْلِيصٌ لِلنَّفْسِ مِنْ رُعُونَاتِهَا, and it is a cleansing of the soul from the ignorance and lowly aspects of the soul. وَتَتَبُّعِهَا لِمَلَذَّاتِهَا, and it also is a cleansing of the soul from it chasing after that which it loves, chasing after that which brings it pleasure, that which it finds is sweet, na'am, and the like. وَشَهَوَاتِهَا, and stopping the soul from chasing after its desires. So fasting is a training. It acclimates the individual to have self-control. Na'am, the fasting, it is a training, and it acclimates an individual to have self-control. And self-control is a means of success in the akhirah. But when we examine those things which benefit us in the akhirah, we find that they also benefit us in the dunya. And this is the nature of things, is that when an individual strives for the akhirah, when they strive to excel and exceed in the akhirah, then by default they will be successful in the dunya. Now they will find success in the dunya by default, without them even chasing after it and searching for it. They're going to find dunya. Now, because as the ulama they mentioned, the akhirah is after the dunya. Now, so when you reach for the akhirah, you're reaching beyond the dunya, after the dunya. Because you're reaching for that which after the dunya, by default, the dunya is going to come along with it. By default, the dunya is going to come along with it. Now, so an example of this can be seen here, that when an individual trains themselves and acclimates themselves to self-control, self-control is an important quality in being successful here in this dunya, having self-control. Having self-control, self-restraint, then these are from the qualities that are needed for success even here, where in the dunya. Naam. So fasting, it trains us to leave alone the ignorant aspects that our souls may call to, chasing after the desires of the soul and chasing after the luxuries and the like, and pleasurable things in his life in excess, and so on and so forth. All of this is attained from fasting. Naam. The fasting, as the Shaykh he mentions, وَلَكِنَّهُ يُمَرِّنُ النُّفُوسَ عَلَى الصَّبْرِ كَمَا تَهْوَاهُ مِمَّا يُلَائِمُهُ وَيُوَافِقُ طَبِيعَتَهَا. Na'am. The fasting, it also trains the individual, it trains the soul to have patience. It trains the soul to be patient. Na'am. To be patient from those things in which will cause harm, or to be patient upon harm. To be patient upon those things which may be uncomfortable. And this also, this type of forbearance, this type of patience and endurance, and being able to endure things that are not the most pleasurable of things, this also is a sign and a characteristic or a quality of success. When individuals have this quality, this is a quality that is added to a person being successful. Naam. So when one looks at fasting, they will find the upsides in fasting. Every which way you look at it, there's an upside inside of fasting. Naam. فَمَتَى تَمَرَّنَتِ النَّفْسِ عَلَى ذَلِكَ بِالصِّيَامِ هَانَ عَلَيْهَا تَرْكُ مُحَرَّمَاتٍ. So when the soul is able to acclimate, or when the soul becomes acclimated to staying away from the harmful things, acclimated to having self-control and so on and so forth, then this will enable and make it easy upon a person to leave off those things that are haram. Now, because when you're fasting, you're leaving off food and drink and relation with one's spouse from Fajr to Maghrib. Now, food and drink and relation with one's spouse, these things are halal. Outside of the time of fasting, these things are halal. It's okay, right? So if an individual can leave off that which is halal while he is fasting, then of course they should be able to leave off that which is haram all the time, fasting and not fasting. Now, so it trains us. It is a training ground. Walillahi alhamd. Naam, to leave off that haram. التي لا تتم التقوى إلا بتركها. To leave off the haram of which taqwa is not attained except by leaving it. Naam. Because in order for a person to be upon taqwa, then they have to what? They have to leave off the muharramat. They have to leave off those things that are haram. Naam. So the fasting, it trains us, conditions us to leave off the haram. And by the leaving off of the haram, by establishing patience and being patient, by doing the righteousness and so on and so forth, then these are the ingredients for what? For a person to attain piety, to attain taqwa. Na'am. فَهُوَ جُنَّةٌ. So the fasting, it is a protection, لِلْعَبْدِ مِنَ الذُّنُوبِ. It is a protection for the slave from what? From sin. Because when a person is fasting, the person intrinsically is going to leave, or she's going to leave off sin. Maybe some sins that they would have done when they weren't fasting. You'll find people when they're fasting, they have a heightened sense of awareness. So they leave off sin. Now, they leave off sin. So while fasting, or fasting is a shield by way in which the abd will be shielded from sin. And sin is that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not pleased with. So thus the Shaykh goes on and he says, وَمِن سَخَطِ الرَّبِّ. And also, they would, is a shield from the anger of the Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a shield from Allah ta'ala's anger. Naam. Again, another outstanding benefit from fasting. وَفِيهِ مِن مَصَالِحِ وَالْخَيْرَاتِ وَالْبَرَكَاتِ الشَّيْءٌ كَثِيرٌ. And there is inside of fasting from blessings, or from goodness and rectification, from good and wholesome things, from blessings, much, a lot, a great abundance of good is found in fasting. A great abundance of blessing is found in fasting. A great abundance of rectification and rectifying matters are found inside of fasting. وَهُوَ شَهْرٌ فِي السَّنَةِ. And it is only 1 month inside of the year. افترض الله subhanahu wa ta'ala ala ibad صيامه, and there's only one month out of the year that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it wajib upon his slaves to fast it. فمن وفق لأداء الصيام كما ينبغي فكان له زادا في عامه كله. And whoever is granted the success in performing the fast in the month of Ramadan in the manner that it is to be performed, then they would have taken a provision that will last with them all year long. They would have taken a provision that would last with them all year long, meaning this acclamation to being upon good, acclamation being patient upon righteousness, acclamation and being patient and staying away from sin, so on and so forth. And acclamation to being patient upon that which Allah Ta'ala has decreed. Then by way of this, you'll find that this conditioning is something that will last with them, that will last the whole of the year, something that will benefit them all year long, that they condition their soul to be upon this goodness and to be patient. نعم يصوم شهرا ولكن تبقى آثاره في عام كله بإذن الله تبارك وتعالى. So a person will fast 1 month, and from that 1 month of fasting, they will find the traces will last with them all year long بإذن الله تعالى, if Allah exalted and most lofty is He wills. Then the Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala goes on to the next pillar, and that is of Hajj. He mentions, he says, Al-Hajj افترضه الله سبحانه وتعالى في عمر كله مرة واحدة. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Hajj obligatory inside of a person's lifetime just one time. Na'am. Ala, upon who? Al-Mustati', the one who has the ability. Min Zad, the one who has the ability. Who has the ability. وَمَا زَادَ فَهُوَ تَطَوُّعٌ. And whatever goes beyond, like if a person does more than another Hajj, he makes Hajj a second or third or fourth or fifth time, then this is from tatawwu'. Then this is from the increasement in voluntary, doing increasement in voluntary Hajj. But the Hajj is only once in a lifetime for the one who has the ability, financially and physically, then is upon them to make the Hajj. كما قال تعالى, as Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ. And it is for Allah upon the people to make Hajj to the house. مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. For the one who has the ability to do so. This ayah can be found in Surah Ali Imran, in this verse 97. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Naam. وقد ثبت عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أحاديث كثيرة في الترغيب أمته في الحج. And there are many hadith on the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم that have come encouraging his ummah to make the Hajj. وحثهم على هذه الطاعة العظيمة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he encouraged the ummah. He encouraged his ummah to make the Hajj. And he encouraged them to do this tremendous act of worship. Naam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam وبيان ما يغنمونه في الحج من أجور العظيم. Allah Ta'ala, the Prophet ﷺ, he explained to the Ummah that which is all of the benefits that they can harvest and gather from the Hajj, tremendous benefits. Now, with thawab jazir, and from extreme amount of righteous good deeds they can get, an extreme amount of reward they can get. Now, with ghufran lidhunub, and how inside of the Hajj there are many opportunities to get all of the sins removed. Now, the Hajj is an opportunity to get the sins removed. فَمَنْ كَانَ مُسْتَطِيعًا وُجِبَ عَلَيْهِ أَن يَجْتَهِدَ فِي مَعْرِفَةِ أَحْكَامِ الْحَجِّ. And whoever has the ability, then it becomes obligatory upon him to learn about the rules and regulations of Hajj. Whoever has the financial and physical means, then it becomes binding upon him to learn the rules and the regulations of Hajj and how to make Hajj. لِيُؤَدِّيَهُ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ, so they can do Hajj upon insight, upon knowledge. Naam. And this is something that is tremendously important, is that when people have the ability to make Hajj, both physically and financially, then they should start to learn about Hajj. Right? At that point, they have to learn about Hajj. Now, don't wait and say you're going to learn, you're going to read up while you're on the airport, in the airplane. You're going with a guide who's going to tell you what to do and how to do it and so on and so forth. No. Do not wait for this. Now, firstly, don't make Hajj except with Ahl Sunnah. Now, so this way you can avoid doing bid'ah, doing the Hajj because you don't know. Right? So avoid making Hajj with Ahl Bid'ah altogether. Make Hajj with Ahl Sunnah. Naam, make Hajj with Ahl Sunnah. But even with that, don't rely upon the one leading the group to show you what to do and how to do it every single moment, what to say and how, and so on and so forth every single moment. No, but learn that yourself. Learn that yourself, bithnillahi ta'ala. Naam. So when a person has the ability to make Hajj both physically and financially, then it becomes wajib upon them that they start to learn about the rules and regulations of Hajj. Naam, because this enters into the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, we said, طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. That seeking knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim, meaning seeking knowledge of those things that are fardu ayn, those things that are an individual responsibility. So once you have the ability to make Hajj both physically and financially, then it becomes an individual responsibility upon you to make the Hajj and to learn the proper way of making the Hajj. Naam, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, خُذُوا عَنِّي مَنَاسِكَكُمْ. Take from me your rights, meaning your rights to make the Hajj. So you have to learn how to make the Hajj the way that the Prophet ﷺ, he made the Hajj. Naam, لِيَفُوزَ بِخَيْرَاتِهِ وَأُجُورِهِ الْوَفِيرَةِ, so that you may be able to attain the tremendous blessing and the great reward, the outstanding and tremendous and abundant amount of reward from the Hajj. Na'am, wa ta'ammal. Reflect. رعاكم الله. هذه المباني الخمسة التي يقوم عليها دين الله تبارك وتعالى. And reflect. May Allah Ta'ala safeguard and protect you. Reflect over these 5 pillars. Reflect over these 5 pillars on which the religion of Allah, the deen of Allah, is built upon them. Na'am. وَتَأَمَّلْ عِظَمَ شَأْنِهَا. And think about the tremendous affair or the tremendous status of these 5 pillars. وَرَفِيعَ مَكَانَتِهَا مِنْ دِينِ اللَّهِ. And reflect on the tremendous and high nature and high status of these pillars inside of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَنَّ مَنْ وَفَّقَهُ اللَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى وَأَكْرَمَهُ بِتَحْقِيقِهَا وَالْقِيَامِ بِهَا كَمَا يَنْبَغِي دَخَلَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الْجَنَّةِ. And that whoever Allah Ta'ala blesses them and gives them the tawfiq, He gives them these success to establish these 5 pillars the way that they're supposed to be established, then on the day of judgment they will enter into Jannah. Now, these 5 pillars, they're extreme importance. How important? If a person establishes them the way that they should be established, then on the day of judgment they will enter into Jannah. Now, كما في الحديث معاذ. The person may say, "Oh, what dalil? What's your proof for this? What's your proof?" The proof, it comes in the hadith of Mu'adh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. قال, he said, قلت يا رسول الله. He said, I said, O Messenger of Allah, أخبرني بعمل يدخلني جنة. He said, I said, O Messenger of Allah, inform me of an action that will enter me into Jannah. Inform me of an action that will enter me into the Jannah. ويباعدني عن النار. And make me far removed from the fire. Istami'u, listen to that request. Inform me of an action that will enter me into Jannah and that will make me far away from the fire. نعم. فعد له صلى الله عليه وسلم هذه المباني الخمسة. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he enumerated for him these 5 pillars. He enumerated for him these 5 pillars. So these 5 pillars are of extreme importance. Yes, these 5 pillars are a vital lesson. A vital lesson that we all need to know and to contemplate and reflect over. وفي حديث جابر في صحيح مسلم, and it also comes in the hadith of Jabir in Sahih Muslim, أن رجلا قال للنبي عليه الصلاة والسلام, that a man said unto the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, أرأيت إذا صليت الصلوات المكتوبات وصمت رمضان وأحللت الحلال وحرمت الحرام ولم أزد على ذلك شيئا أأدخل الجنة؟ قال صلى الله عليه وسلم نعم. A man asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, if I fast my obligatory prayers, and a man asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, if I pray my obligatory prayers, and I fast in Ramadan, and I deem as being halal that which is halal, meaning, and he does, he partakes from it, right? And I deem as being haram that which is haram, meaning he stays away from it, and I did not increase upon that at all, would I enter into Jannah? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, yes. He said, yes. Naam. You see, this is tremendous. The deen of Islam is easy. It's easy. For those who don't have the strength to excel, as long as they do what is obligatory, the bare minimum, they're fine. Right? They're going to be successful. For those who have more vigor, more ability, and they do from the voluntary, then they're going to have good as well. Right? They'll have good upon good. The point is that no one loses as long as you stick to the foundation. As long as you stick to the foundation, you stick to the 5 pillars of Islam, you stick to the foundation, you believe properly, you do that which is wajib upon you as an individual, you're going to benefit, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The deen is not hard. It's human beings that make it hard. The deen is not hard. A lot of times we make things hard upon ourselves, but the deen is not hard. The deen is not hard. وفي خبر الرجل الأعرابي, and also there comes a narration of the Bedouin, الذي عدد صلى الله عليه وسلم عليه هذه الأركان. He mentioned to this person, he enumerated for him these 5 pillars. فقال, after telling him about the 5 pillars, the desert Arab, the Bedouin, he said, والله لا أزيد على هذا ولا أنقص. He said, by Allah, I will not increase upon this. I'm not going to do no more than this. And at the same time, I will not do less. I will not do more, and I will not do less. Na'am, meaning what? He's going to do the 5 pillars. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, أفلح إن صدق. He said, he is successful if he's telling the truth. If he's truthful, he's going to be successful. With riwayah, and in a narration, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ إِن صَدَقَ. He said he will enter into Jannah if he's telling the truth. If he's telling the truth, he will enter into the Jannah. Na'am. Allahu Akbar. فهذه الأركان الخمسة فهذه أركان الخمسة. So these 5 pillars هي مباني التي يقوم عليها إسلام. Al-Islam. These are the pillars in which Islam is built upon it. ويجب على المسلم أن يحافظ عليها محافظة دقيقة. It is incumbent upon the Muslim that he safeguard and he protects these 5 pillars, and that they preserve them with a preservation that is to the most minute manner, that they safeguard and protect and preserve these 5 pillars from every which way, shape and form. ويعنى بها عناية and that they have a clear, apparent concern for it, and that they have a clear and apparent concern for it. وَهِيَ أَعْظَمْ مَا يَتَقَرَّبُ بِهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And listen to this as well. These 5 pillars, this is the greatest thing that a person can draw near unto Allah with. This is the greatest thing. You're looking for a deed to get you near to Allah. The deeds that will get you near to Allah, the greatest of them are these 5 pillars. Naam, are these 5 pillars. وَمَا الدَّلِيلُ? A person say, what's your dalil? You're saying the 5 pillars are the greatest actions of worship I can do to get me near to Allah. What's your dalil? What's your proof? That comes in the hadith al-Qudsi. Comes in the hadith al-Qudsi. Naam, the Prophet ﷺ, he narrated upon his Lord. Well, Allah Ta'ala, he said, وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ. He said, Allah Ta'ala, he said, that my slave does not draw near unto me with anything that is more beloved to me مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ, except for that which I had made obligatory upon him. Meaning that what? There is nothing more beloved to me that my slave would draw near to me with, except that which I had made obligatory upon him. So those things that Allah Ta'ala had made obligatory upon us, these are the most beloved things by way in which an abd will draw near unto Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. These are the most beloved things that the abd, the slave, he will draw near unto Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Naam. So when a person thinks about this, he reflects about this, he says what? He says, I don't have to go searching far and to do something that is outstanding. If I want to do something outstanding, then I have to be consistent upon what is obligatory. Right? So if you want to be outstanding, then be consistent upon your salah. Pray them at the proper times. Pray them in a proper manner. Have khushu', have humility when you're praying. Excel in your prayer. Now, if a person want to better his life, start with the foundation. Excel in your prayer. Person want to excel in his life, excel in your knowledge of it tawheed. Excel in your knowledge about the sunnah. Excel in your practicing and adherence to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Excel in fasting in the month of Ramadan. Excel in paying zakat. Excel in making hajj. Learn about the hajj. Learn about it. Learn about zakat. Learn about it. Learn about your religion. Learn about how to pray. Learn about how to fast. So on and so forth, right? If you want to increase your life, then start here. Excel. But you see what the shaitan, what he do, right? Especially for like the Sufis. Those who are given and stricken with the disease of the tasawwuf, right? What happened is, they want to excel. They want to excel. So shaitan, he comes to the likes of these individuals and they want to excel. So what? He gives them bid'ah to excel with. You want to excel? Do bid'ah. But bid'ah doesn't make them excel. It makes them lose. Bid'ah doesn't make them draw near unto Allah. It makes them far removed. You see? And this is from the tricks of shaitan. So you find these people, they'll say, oh, make this dhikr 1,000 times in a day. Yeah, subhanallah, making the dhikr of that. What dhikr is made 1,000 times in a day? Narrated in the Prophet ﷺ, that he taught us that. Who from the Sahaba made this dhikr 1,000 times in a day? 2,000 times a day, 5,000 times a day. Yeah, subhanallah, subhanallah. You see how shaitan tricks them? Gets them, tire them out. They tire themselves doing that which is not accepted, doing that which is rejected. Why? Because it's bid'ah. Well, all they had to do was what? Was safeguard their prayers. Make the dhikr that has been narrated after the prayers. Right? Keep their tongues moist with the dhikr, remembrance of Allah that has been narrated on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he taught us. You see? Do these things, they'll get a lot of benefit. They tire themselves out, and at the end of it, get what? Nothing. So if you want to do something that is beloved unto Allah, then know there is no righteousness more beloved to Allah than that which He has made obligatory upon you. Than that which He has made obligatory upon you. Right? This is just something to think about. Because people sometimes, something to think about. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has made it obligatory upon us to be good to our parents. It's obligatory. You have to be good to our parents. You have to show them outstanding behavior. Right? Be kind and good to them. But some people, they want to do something. Philanthropists and so on and so forth, they want to do something. They got extra money, want to do something. But why are you looking around the earth? Find someone. Be good to your parent. Good to your parent. Now, a man, he come into a little bit of extra money. Why are you looking upon the earth to find someone? Be good to your wife. Huh? Good to your wife. Be good to your children. You see? Wife comes in some things she wasn't anticipating. Looking upon. Why are you looking upon everywhere for? Be good. Be good to your husband. Be good to your children. So on and so forth. Now, these are things that we forget about. These are things we forget about. Right? Be good to your parents. Excel in being good to them. Because from everyone upon the earth, you'll find that being good to them is going to get you reward that you won't be able to find being good to somebody else. Same thing you may do to someone else. You're not get the same reward if you be good to your parents. Right? So these are just some things to consider, some things to reflect on, some things to think about. Bithnillahi ta'ala. Increase upon doing those things in which Allah Ta'ala has made obligatory upon you. فإذا وفق العبد لمحافظة عليها في حياته كان يوم القيامة من أهل الجنة. Whatever slave has been given the success in preserving the 5 pillars of Islam inside of their life, then on the day of judgment they will be يعني من أهل الجنة. They will be from the people of Jannah. نعم. ولهذا ينبغي على أهل العلم. And thus, for this reason, it is incumbent upon the people of knowledge, وطلاب العلم, and the students of knowledge, meaning the scholars and the students of knowledge, and يعنوا بحث العوام والعموم الناس على المحافظة هذه الأركان والعناية بها. It is incumbent, it is a must that the scholars and the students of knowledge, they encourage the people, the general masses of the people and the common folk from amongst them, to safeguard and preserve these 5 pillars and to have a tremendous concern for them. وَيُبَيِّنُوا لَهُمْ مَكَانَتَهَا, and that they explain to them the high and lofty status of the 5 pillars. وَعَظِيمَ شَأْنِهَا مِنْ دِينِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ, and that they explain to them the tremendous status of the 5 pillars in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. وأن مثلها من الدين كمثل الأعماد من البنيان, and that they explain to them that the similitude of these 5 pillars in the religion is like the similitude of pillars to a structure. Now, the similitude of pillars to the structure, meaning that what? If you remove the supporting pillars from a structure, the structure collapses. Now, if you remove the supporting pillars to the structure collapses. Now, without getting into depth and detail about this particular thing, but just to know in general that that these pillars, you need them to have Islam. Now, you need them to have the deen of Islam, and that's how important they are. They're like structionary pillars to a structure. Now, that without those foundational pillars, then the structure will collapse. It won't be there. And this is how important these pillars are. They're of extreme importance. Now, وينبغي على كل مسلم أن يحافظ على هذه الأعمدة وأعمدة. And it is incumbent that every Muslim, they safeguard and protect these pillars. Now, that they safeguard and they protect these pillars because the deen is built upon these 5 pillars. مستعينا بالله عز وجل, seeking the help, aid and assistance from Allah Azza wa Jal. طالبا مده تبارك وتعالى وتوفيقه, seeking the aid and the assistance and the success from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Shaykh, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, he goes on to the next section, which deals with the pillars, the arkan of Iman, or as is commonly translated, the articles of faith. But bi'ithnillahi ta'ala, we will save that for the next class, and we will get into that the next class bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. فنكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وجزاكم الله خيرا.